Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today I thought I'd talk to you about how I organize my writing. It's always such a very personal situation, and mine is constantly evolving and changing. But I figured I would tell you my methods, my tools, if you will, and maybe you'll find some use out of them, maybe not. But to do so, I'm gonna need to take you to the computer. So here we are on my desktop. The first thing that I do is this is sort of my master spreadsheet of all the things that I have that I'm planning to create. So I'm listing the project name, the genre, the very rough estimate of word count. These never wind up being what I think they will. Like, for example, well, actually, that one's, anyway, then there's the estimated pages, mostly because editing and reading time I've estimated based on the page count. Then there's a category, which I don't use a lot, but I probably should. This comes from Jessica Abel's Growing Gills book, or her method of creative productivity, in which you list all of your projects and then you categorize all of them based on the sorts of projects or how they relate to your career. So, for example, there's big picture. Big picture is the sort of, okay, this will not help me right now, but it will create a revenue for me in the long run, like, for example, through royalties. Platform building is stuff that is possibly prestige or stuff that will help you reach a new kind of audience or what have you. Things that extend your reach. There's quick win, which is basically this is something that will be easy and fast to get done now and will hopefully bring me money because, well, there's not much that is certain in this creative endeavor. Then there is the status of each project. I've divvied this up into 10 different categories. Research, which is basically everything that I do before plotting. So, for example, this is where it should at least be. I'm planning a book that I'm calling An Insecure Connection. And it has a lot to do. It's basically Cory Doctorow, but written by a Finnish queer woman. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm brushing up on cybersecurity and all that kind of good stuff while I'm researching for that particular book. Then there's plotting. This can take various amounts of time, depending on the book. I usually have at least a beginning and an end, and a clear plan for what happens next before I actually start writing. So that's the plotting stuff. So for example, right now I'm writing a short story, and I use, I think it was created by Orson Scott Card, but it was taught to me by Mary Robinette Kowal. The mice method. So for a short story, I use the mice method. I've never actually been able to make it work for me for a novel. But you sort of plan the beginning and the end, and in a short story format, I also plan all of the scenes that I'm going to write and how they contribute to the final. In a novel, I tend to plan the beginning, the ending, the midpoint, and usually also the 25% marks to create a sort of arc for myself to follow. And then the first 5 scenes before I start writing. And that has worked for me very well so far. I use a bastardized version of Lisa Krone's Story Genius for that. Anyway, then there's first draft territory, which is, it takes a while for various reasons. Rewrite notes is the period where I'm reading the stuff that I wrote in the first draft and figuring out what needs to change, especially structurally. Rewrite is whatever needs to be done. Like, for example, for Cold Burn, which is the novel that I'm querying right now, that I used I think I rewrote about half of that book in the revision period. But anyway, it's whatever I need to do for the rewrites and all that. Then I go through with another pass for editing notes. This is where I tighten up sentences, rephrase things that I find confusing when I read it again. And this is a reread after the rewrite, so that everything's still consistent and so on. Then there's the actual editing of those consistency things. And then finally, I try to do this for everything. I did not so far I have not managed to read aloud a full novel because it takes a toll on one's voice. And usually when I read aloud my short stories, there are always some weird things that I find that would be better done in other ways, like just some weird sentence level things. And finally, there's finished. I've estimated sort of how long it takes me to plot a short story, how long it takes me to, I'm pretty sure these are hours. Anyway, how long it takes me to plot a story, how long it takes me to read it, how long it takes me to edit it. I really need to I need to revise these things, because plotting time 12 hours for a short story, yeah, that seems plausible. 12 hours of editing notes and editing time. That also seems fairly reasonable. Read aloud and final edits also fairly reasonable. But once we go into the novel territory, so here's a 90,000 word novel. That's about maybe 300 pages, just below. Plotting time seems 10 hours to read aloud. Yeah, that doesn't seem right. Anyway, so these are just some very rough estimates of what it would take to do all these stages, and then how long it would take me to do the things that I want to get done on each of these. And then that brings us to this column over here. This column over here is how many working days it would take to finish this story. So in Finland, a working day is 7.5 hours. And that's a full-time working day is 7.5 hours, and these are the estimates of how many working days it would take me to finish each of these projects from where they are right now. And that's calculated based on the amount of amounts estimated over here in these columns. So we have like a 4,000 word short story that would take 6 full working days and one more just under. That's in the plotting stage. There's do I have anything short? So there's 5,000 word in research, and that would take 21 days for me to finish. And I've estimated here the sum of total complete working days and estimated them into years. And yes, this is 6 years of full-time working as a writer, which I'm not in that place. I'm not going to be in that place for a very long time, at least a decade. So that's sort of kind of pointless, but we're getting there. Anyway, so I go through this spreadsheet at least once a year, twice a year, about that amount of time. I usually, any time I come up with something that I want to noodle on, I add to this, and then I just go through it once or twice a year and figure out which of these projects I still want to work on, because like I don't want to always be working on the same kinds of things, and sometimes I lose interest in a given project after a while. Beyond this, when it comes time to work on a project, I go to for the words and petrichor. Petrichor, Scrivener. So this is the master document. This is where I keep my work while I'm writing it. This is where the work lives. And for the words is where I do the actual writing. So as you can see here, this is me basically working through the mice elements of this particular story. And then there's the scenes. I'm gonna show you. So this is what the novel that actually went out looks like. So there are several scenes. These are the scenes that I rewrote. There's backstory, basically me working through free writing to make sure that I understand and think about the things. And then there's the novel and the final rewrites. But yeah, I do the battles on For the Words because it helps my brain. I am very much a reward-driven writer. And then as I've written the story, I move it to Scrivener, so that Scrivener is basically the master copy. I always, when I'm editing, I edit in Scrivener. I don't often read in Scrivener, mostly because it's just easier on my brain. I basically read in PDFs and do the changes in Scrivener, make notes in my master plot book, and so on. And the last thing I want to show you about organizing my writing is Christy Yant's Tools for Writers. It's a great resource. I especially love the career bingo. I am looking forward to being able to actually call bingo on this thing, and it'll be great. So far, I'm not tracking a lot of these things. I should, but for that I use other things. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm going to add. So every time I talk about this spreadsheet, I get a lot of questions and a lot of just a lot of questions and interest in it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to clean up this version and allow change the formulas so that there's going to be an editable field where you can enter your own values for however long it takes you to create the do the work that's needed, so that you can input your own numbers and without knowing the formulas by heart. And yeah, I think that's it for today. Thank you for joining me, and I will hand you over to the bookcase, Nina. And so that's it. That's my tools, my methods of organizing my writing right now. And honestly, it's bound to change at some point. It's honestly, it's always changing. So take from my methods what you will, and if you find any of it useful, please use it or try it out. And if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. Everyone's different, and you build the systems that work for your brain, and that's the most important thing. Whatever works. Keep it, discard the rest. I will see you next Thursday.